The Universal Academy's xenobiology classroom fell into stunned silence as Instructor Vexhai wheeled in the containment unit. Behind the reinforced transparisteel, something moved with predatory grace. A quadrupedal creature with retractable claws, needle-sharp teeth, and eyes that tracked movement with the cold calculation of a born killer. "This," announced the Thrakari instructor, his forearms gesturing dramatically at the sealed cage, "is a Felis catus, one of the most efficient micro-predators from the notorious Deathworld Terra. Note the evolutionary adaptations. Night vision capable of operating in near-total darkness, reflexes that operate faster than most sentient reaction times, and claws designed to puncture vital organs." The mixed class of species from across the galaxy leaned away from the containment unit. A Zalani student's crystalline form flickered with nervous energy, while the gelatinous blob representative quivered in what could only be described as terror. "The humans," Vexhai continued, consulting his datapad, "somehow coexist with over 600 million of these apex predators on their homeworld. Our xenopsychology department theorizes this represents some form of uneasy truce or perhaps a protection racket." That's when the door chimed, and Marcus Chen walked into the classroom. The human exchange student was running late again, his hair slightly disheveled and clutching a steaming cup of what the other students had learned was a mild stimulant beverage called coffee. "Sorry, Professor," Marcus said, sliding into an empty seat. Traffic was murder on the transport tubes. His casual use of violent terminology sent a ripple of unease through the non-human students. Then Marcus noticed the containment unit. "Oh wow, you got a cat for class today?" His face lit up with genuine delight. "What a beautiful tabby." The temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees. Instructor Vexhai's main eyes widened while his secondary eyes focused on Marcus with new intensity. "Student Chen," Vexhai said carefully, "you are familiar with this apex predator?" "Apex predator?" Marcus laughed, a sound that made several students flinch. "That's just a house cat. My grandmother had 3 of them. Mind if I say hello?" Before anyone could stop him, Marcus had approached the containment unit. The creature inside, which had been pacing restlessly, suddenly pressed itself against the transparisteel barrier, emitting a rhythmic rumbling sound that the universal translator struggled to interpret. "Warning, unknown vocalization detected. Possible threat display." "That's not a threat," Marcus said, grinning. "She's purring. She likes me." What happened next would be talked about in xenobiology circles for decades to come. Marcus casually input the override code, somehow knowing the Academy's standard emergency release sequence, and opened the containment unit. The collective intake of breath from 30 different respiratory systems created a sound like a small atmospheric leak. The apex predator immediately leaped out and began rubbing against Marcus's legs, its tail held high in what every non-human in the room interpreted as the aggressive posture. Several students had already activated their personal emergency beacons. "There's a good girl," Marcus cooed, crouching down and extending his hand toward the creature's head. "Who's a pretty kitty?" The beast, armed with claws that could shred Kevlar and teeth designed for killing, closed its eyes and pressed its head into Marcus's palm. The rumbling intensified. "Student Chen," Vexhai's voice cracked with strain. "Step away from the predator immediately." "Predator?" Marcus looked genuinely confused as he scratched behind the cat's ears, causing it to arch its back in apparent pleasure. "Luna here couldn't hurt a fly." "Well, actually, she probably could hurt a fly. That's kind of what cats do. But she's harmless to people." "That creature," Vexhai said, consulting his notes with trembling hands, "has a bite force capable of crushing small bones and reaction speeds that exceed most military combat units." Marcus considered this as he picked up the cat, which immediately settled into his arms and resumed its mysterious rumbling. "I guess. But look at this face. How could anyone be scared of this little angel?" He held up the cat so the class could see it better. What they saw was a predator in perfect striking position, held aloft by a human who seemed completely oblivious to his danger. The cat's eyes had gone half closed, and what every survival instinct in the room screamed was preparation for an attack. It's entering a pre-strike trance," whispered a Corvin student, its feathers standing on end. "She's sleepy," Marcus corrected. "Cats sleep like 16 hours a day. Very lazy predators, if you ask me." He gently stroked the cat's fur. "The purring means she's happy and relaxed." "The what means she's what?" Vexhai asked faintly. "Humans," Marcus explained, still petting the increasingly relaxed cat. Domesticated cats about 10,000 years ago. They're not really pets, though. More like roommates who don't pay rent and knock things off tables for fun. As if summoned by his words, the cat suddenly perked up and focused intently on Vexhi's writing stylus, which was trembling in the instructor's grip. Before anyone could react, the cat launched itself from Marcus's arms, landed gracefully on the desk, and promptly batted the stylus onto the floor. The entire class watched in horrified fascination as the apex predator then sat down and began grooming itself, completely ignoring the 30-odd terrified aliens staring at it. "Bad Luna," Marcus said mildly, retrieving the stylus. "Sorry, Professor. She has a thing about moving objects." Vexhi accepted his stylus back with a hand that shook only slightly. "So, humans, you simply coexist with these creatures?" "Well, yeah. They're great company. Low maintenance, good for stress relief, and excellent pest control." Marcus paused. "Though I should probably mention that Luna here is declawed and spayed, so she's actually less dangerous than most cats." "Less dangerous?" squeaked a Zephyrian student. "This is the domesticated version?" "Oh, you should see a feral tom," Marcus said cheerfully. "Those guys are basically tiny tigers." In the silence that followed, the sound of Luna's purring seemed to fill the entire classroom. She had finished grooming and was now stretched out in a patch of artificial sunlight from the classroom's illumination system, looking for all the world like she owned the place. Instructor Vexhi made a note on his datapad. Reassess threat level of human domestic companions. Also request hazard pay increase. As for Marcus, he was already planning to ask the academy administration if pets were allowed in student dormitories. After all, Luna seemed to like the place,